Thanks for watching Behind the Lens. I am your host, custom designer and wardrobe stylist, Jessi. In this video, I want to talk about invoicing and receipts. Yes, the business side of styling. When it is me, myself, and I have to do the outreach, I have to maintain my clients, I have to invoice my clients, and I have to make sure that I get paid. And I'm going to teach you how to do the same. Your first styling job, right? Probably as a stylist assistant, maybe it's a smaller project that you're going to lead yourself, whatever it may be, you need to decide your day rate. Not to date this video, but the year is 2023. So a stylist assistant rate for a wardrobe stylist, that's the lead of the project, that totally varies, but at a minimum, if you've been doing it for long enough, you're probably in the ballpark of $850 a day up to in the thousands per day, depending on the scale of the job, how many days you're on the job, the client, and just the budget overall. There's a lot to consider. But stylist assistant, anywhere from about, let's say $450 to $600 is a safe place to start. Your time includes any prep that you might do. That's phone calls, emails, mood boards, research, shopping, of course. If there are fittings, then of course being on set for the shoot days and then returns. Don't forget the prep time to charge properly for your time. There's a lot that goes into it. It's not just showing up on set and all the clothes are magically there. I wish, but it doesn't work like that. As an assistant, though, you might just show up on shoot day to help the stylist, and that's perfectly okay. You can always offer to help with prep. You can always offer to help with returns, but being there on shoot day, that's great as well. $450, $500 for the day. Awesome. First job. Let's go. Your day rate is decided before the job begins. Do not proceed without your day rate in writing, email, or text. You might receive an SOW, a statement of work. That's great. That's more of a contract that's saying you will be paid this amount of money for this many days, etc. But just make sure you have something in writing saying how much you're going to be paid for the job and for how many days. Be sure to get clarification. What do you consider a day? Is it 8, 10, 12 hours? It's different with commercial. It's different with photo shoots. It's different with film. So depending on what you're assisting on, get clarification. Don't feel bad to ask these questions. Stick up for yourself. You are owed the money once you're hired and you want to be paid properly, because then there is overtime, right? So if it's day is 10 hours and you work 12, well, then you're going to get overtime for that. And you keep track of that as well. Of course, the production keeps track. But mentally keep track, make a note for yourself so you know you're being paid properly. Then you want to watch out for the call sheet, right? I talk about this in my set etiquette video. And you can also refresh on what makes a great assistant in my assistant video. But you get the call sheet, make sure you know your orders, location, where to be, when to be, so you're ready to go and you can be the best assistant ever. And as far as the statement of work is concerned, if they're saying we're going to pay you $500 for 3 days on set and it turns into 4 days or 5 days, make sure, again, in writing you have, hey, I was only being paid for 3 days on this job. It's turning into 5. I just want to make sure that I'm going to get paid my day rate for 5 days. Talk about it as soon as it happens. So there's nothing funny that happens along the way, like, oh, I worked 5 days, and then it's like, oh, you weren't supposed to, or who knows, funny stuff happens. Just try to get stuff in writing as soon as it happens to protect yourself. I've always been really bad with my money for a very long time. I've gotten better over the years because I've had to learn some lessons the hard way, aka paying off credit card debt from when I lived in New York. But my most famous statement that my family makes fun of me for is, I still have checks. Why do I not have money? Ha ha ha. Yes, checks do not equal money necessarily. But I want to help you understand how to be better with your money when it comes to this freelance life, and the invoicing is a big part of it, of course, because I don't want you to only have checks and not have any money when you go and write the check. So I'm the artsy sister, the creative one, who kind of is in her own little visual la la land. My sister's also creative, but she's more the math brain. And she used to be a personal banker for Citibank, and she taught me this rule that has helped me so much. It's the 30-30-30 rule. Let me tell you more about it. As a freelancer, you may have 10 jobs in a month, and then the next month you might have 2 or 3 or none. So the 30-30-30 rule is how to manage your paychecks so that you're not constantly struggling when you have a slow month, and that you save enough when you have a big month. 30-30-30 rule applies to 30% of your check you invest/save. 30% of your check goes to bills. 30% of your check is everything else that can be considered fun money, but also maybe groceries, gas, getting your nails done, buying coffee, whatever it may be. Now, you don't want to hoard all of your cash. That's why I say invest. Stock market, S&P 500, something like that. And then have a savings account for your emergency fund if you need to pull from it when times are a little slower. I would keep it small. I would keep something in more of like an ally, a high interest savings, and then something more accessible if you have Citibank, Chase Bank, just an account, maybe $5,000 in it, that if you're running a little dry, you can pull from there and you're not pulling from your big account, your big emergency savings fund. The other reason to save is because of tax time. Not all freelance jobs pull out your taxes. So there's 1099 jobs and there's W-2s that you'll get at the end of the year. What's the difference? 1099 is considered an independent contractor or a gig worker, and you are responsible for all the taxes, Social Security, Medicaid. W-2s you might be more familiar with because that's when you're considered an employee of the company. So production companies that I do a lot of work with, I end up having a W-2 from them because I'm regularly booked by them. Even though it's kind of a freelance basis, I'm still considered like an employee of the company, and they take out the taxes for me. So I'm not responsible for those taxes come tax time. So now that we've had to talk about the tax man and all the money we have to give away for our hard work, let's go back to invoicing. I use Excel and I use QuickBooks for all of my invoicing. I have a huge Excel document that I keep track of every job for every year. So the date of the job, who it was for, the money that I'm owed. I have a column for expenses that, are on my personal card, money that I'm being reimbursed for shopping, right? I have a column for when I was paid, how I was paid. And the last column is, did I pay back the credit cards from the money that I was reimbursed for, right? Because you don't want to get a credit card balance for shopping for others. You want to make sure you're paying that off so you're not paying interest over time. By all means, use a credit card for shopping, especially when you're being reimbursed for it, because you're going to get the points. A lot of people get mileage cards. Some people get Amexes, something that you're going to get benefits from for doing all of this shopping, right? But again, pay it off so you're not carrying a balance, because a balance equals interest that you have to pay. And these credit cards are 18%, 25%. That stinks. Again, more money you're giving away for your hard work, and you don't want to do that. Now, typically on every job that I do use my own credit cards, and then I'm reimbursed. So to that point, I have to keep track of all my spending, all the receipts I hold on for dear life. And I make another Excel for that job. For each job, it has its own Excel separate from all the other jobs. Now, film is a little different because you will get what's called a PC card, production card, that you put all the expenses on their card, so you're not touching your money at all. But commercial photo shoot, you usually use your own cards and then they pay you back. You can ask for an advance, which is they'll give you part of the budget ahead of time, so you're not just spending all your own money, because you might not have a high credit limit. But we can talk about that more, or feel free to talk to me in the comment section after and ask me to explain it more. I'm happy to, or we'll walk you through the steps of asking for an advance, asking for a production card, or some people actually shop in cash. That's an option too. I just get nervous. God forbid you got robbed, you were shopping, you lost your wallet, then you're out of all the cash. But some people like the cash so that they know, my budget's $2,000. I have $2,000 to shop, and that's that. But I personally like using credit cards because if my budget at the end of the job is $2,000, that means keeps. I sometimes spend $6,000, $8,000, $10,000 to make sure I have enough options to do this job great, and I'm not scrambling because I didn't buy enough. I think more is more when it comes to the beginning of the job, having options on set, having backup options. Clients change their mind all the time. Sometimes people aren't accurate with their sizing. So more is more, and then you return and you cut back down to the $2,000 or whatever the budget is. Cut back down by meaning return stuff to get back to budget. So my invoicing for each job, the Excel that I use for that is the date, the store, the amount purchased, and the card used. I have 4 credit cards that I use for jobs. I try to use 1 per job, but sometimes if I have multiple jobs at once, I use one until it's maxed out, then I use another one, then I use another one. This is why you have to track. Every penny counts. Every penny matters. You want to make sure you're paying yourself back properly. So I total it up at the end, all the purchases, all the returns, boom. The formula is super easy in Excel. There's the total. That way I can send that document to the production company. Hey, I'm owed, $1,875, and I know what card to pay back. I know the date of when it all happened if I ever need to look back. And lastly, I use an app called Genius Scan to photograph all of my receipts for each job. It makes it into a beautiful PDF file. You can name it, Cracker Barrel cheese commercial receipts. So I submit my Excel document with all my receipts typed out and the total. I submit all the pictures of the receipts, send it to the production company. Boom, they check it over and they pay me back. So this is one invoice that I send. My second invoice is for my time, my rate, and you want to keep that separately again for tax time. You do not want to pay taxes on money you are being reimbursed for. You only want to pay taxes on your rate, your day rate, the time that you spent on the job, right? Your income, if you will. And so back to QuickBooks, there is a fee, a monthly fee. I believe it's $10 a month to have my business account with them, but they keep track of all of my invoices again for tax time. I have an accountant just because it's a longtime family friend that we've all used, but QuickBooks makes tax stuff really easy, especially for freelancers, and I think it's worth it. And even if you're just starting out as an assistant, I think it is worth the expense. So let's walk through an invoice just in the event that you're like, oh, I'm just not ready to get QuickBooks. I'm just starting out. I'm not quite ready to take that leap yet. Well, if you make an invoice, you can again use Excel. You could use a Word document, but I'm going to show you an example of an invoice from QuickBooks and the important things you must have on your invoice before you send it to the client so that you can get paid properly. Okay, first things first, you want to number your invoice, starting with number 1. You could start with number 10 if you really like that number. Next, the date of the invoice. That's the date that you're sending the invoice, followed by your name, your home address, your email, and your phone number. Then there's a to or a bill to, right? That's the production company. Try to get somebody's name on there, whether it's the UPM, a producer, someone's name, email, phone number as well. Then you go into your line items. So if it was just a 1-day shoot, you can just put shoot day, date the shoot, your rate, $500 a day, boom, total it up. I'm owed $500, and then the biggest thing is when you want to be paid by. Most jobs are net 30, which means you will be paid within 30 days of sending your invoice, not the date of the shoot, of when they receive the invoice. So you want to send your invoices right away. If you can send them the same day the shoot's over, that's great. If you can send it the next day, that's great too. But do not wait weeks to send an invoice. Companies will get very mad and sometimes they will not pay you. So send your invoice right away. Now, if it's a multiple day shoot, I recommend listing out each day, shoot day, January 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, boom, 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 500, 500, 500, total it up. Maybe it's, you were there for 4 days, $2,000 owed to you. and you could put like a little thank you for having me. I hope to work with you again soon, or something like that if you want. Make it cute. If you have a website, you could put that on there too in a little note, or if you want to attach your Instagram, that's fine too. But yeah, those are the big important things. Make sure that's on every invoice, whether you use QuickBooks, which kind of automatically does it for you. But I guess this is more so if you're doing it by hand in Excel or Microsoft Word or Google Sheets or whatever. Sometimes you will invoice the stylist and sometimes you will invoice the producer. So just get clarification again. Who am I invoicing? So that it goes to the right person so that you are paid. And don't forget to follow up. If you hit those 30 days and you have no sign of money, hey producer, hey stylist, it's been 30 days since I sent my invoice. Where's my money? Is the check in the mail? You know, some jobs will pay you ACH direct deposit, which is kind of nice, although I don't love it because when I have a million jobs at once, it's really hard to track money coming in from different people. So I personally like checks. So I have the check, I can put it in my Excel, make a note, blah, 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 keep it organized versus just like all of a sudden there's $1,000, there's $5,000 reimbursement coming in my account, and you don't want to mix it up with like your personal, you know, expenses that all of a sudden you're buying stuff and you're like, oops, that was reimbursement money. I should have paid this credit card back, or oops, I didn't put away 30% to my Fidelity or my Ally. Like, you want to keep really, 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 really close track so it doesn't get messy, because it's really hard to work backwards, especially when jobs keep coming in and as you get more and more and more. Your go-do is to sign up for QuickBooks if you're ready, or at the minimum, have an invoice created on Word, Excel, Google Sheets, Google Docs, something like that. So that when you get your first job, you're ready to go. As for QuickBooks, set it up, get your name, your address, phone, email, all that in there, your cute little message. So you are ready to send that invoice for your first job and get paid. Yeah, we love money. I am very motivated by money. I love working because I love money. I love having an income. I love to decide how I'm going to spend my money. And I feel proud when I work really hard and I get paid. And it's like, hell yeah, doing something I love and I'm making money along the way. Thank you for watching Behind the Lens. Don't forget to like, subscribe, talk to me in the comment section if you have any questions or if you need further explanation. I want to help you out to be successful, and I will see you next time.